Hello, welcome to the channel and welcome back to Resurwreck Autos HQ. So guys, today we have got back the Nissan Note from the body shop. Going to get into that in a minute. I'll explain what's going on. We've got to go a little bit backwards to go a little bit forwards, but I'm going to explain everything in a minute. So yeah, the blue Skoda Fabia, that's over at the paint shop. That's been done. I'm looking for another car for one of my other subscribers. This time it's a Fiat 500X, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, really busy in a minute. Plus I'm still waiting for Diggers' van on his airbag module. They're still working on that module system or software or whatever they've got to do. They're still working on that. God knows where, in another country, but they're working on that and they'll get that back to me. Yeah, when it's done. And it might not even be done once they get it back to me. They've got to go back and forwards. This is a trial and error. This is because no one's done one before. So yeah, it's been busy, really busy. So let's get into it. Let's crack on. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys. It's back from the body shop. So what he's basically done, you can see that this was all stripped down completely. So he's put that all back in because he had to line stuff up and making sure that it was there okay. Now, he probably could have completed the whole lot. But I said to him, look, I want to sort this leg out. This leg is completely bent in it. We know that. I have got another one over here, which is a complete setup. So I said to him, look, before I sent it to him, I had a look. The scuttle panel's got to come off. The bonnet's got to come out. There's quite a few bits and pieces. So I said, look, get it to a point where you're happy with its line, that it lines up. And this is why he worked from this side, going that way. So he straightened up the legs, as you can see. See the gap between the actual intercooler now and the leg. Well, that leg was right touching that. You can see because it's a little bit bent there. But we might have to replace that. It really does depend how the airflow on the car sort of goes, but it's right at the front, so it's pretty easy to swap over if we need to. I did speak to him about that. He said, well, yeah, it does look a little bit pushed in and bent there on the end, but if it works, it works. So yeah, but anyway, you know, we'll look at that later on, but I want to try and get that leg swapped over and this straightened up, that wheel straightened up. So yeah, like I said, he's done this side. Got the gaps, you know, really nice. That side, got the headlight in place. Everything lines up. So we're working from this way, going to that way, you know. And I'll put the wing on. I just said to him, like, leave it all off because I need to get in there to get all this looked at and swapped over. So yeah, and he obviously, you know, it was a little bit cheaper because all this side was left off. Not a lot cheaper, but it was a little bit cheaper for me. So. But yeah, like I said, we've got to get in there. There's a bolt in there. But I want to get my impact gun on top of the bolt. To do that, you can see that, you know, this is in the way. So I need to get the impact gun there. So we have got to strip this down a little bit to get that off. So yeah, I'll get the wing. I'll get the bonnet off as well. Get that out the way. But everything else he's put back on, you can see. Bearing in mind as well, this still is only a Cat N. This is not a Cat S, is it? This was the one that we found out that the actual legs were twisted and bent. So, you know, technically it should have been a Cat S, but it's not, it's a Cat N. So there we go, guys. Let's start now then by stripping it down a little bit more and then getting this leg and wheel straight. if we're, I don't know if we're going to see anything. If anything's bent, I don't. It's not the lower control arm. It's not. But we'll see how it goes. So I'll set you up. Let's get cracking. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys, well, a little bit of stripping down to get to this top bolt. But yeah, not too bad. Just took that sort of plastic cowling cover. Yeah, so let me explain what I'm going to do now. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to remove this top spring shock absorber, the rear section, because you can disconnect it from these two bolts here. So you disconnect those two, disconnect the wire, undo that drop link at the top, and then undo the top bolt at the top there, and then that should just come out. I'm going to leave the bottom section for now, just to see what it's like, because I want to reuse the original discs and pads anyway, because it matches the other side, and they're really much better than the one that come with the other one. So, but yeah, I'm going to leave the bottom section as it is, but just change that top part, then put it all back on, put the bolts back in, connect it back off, put the wheel back on, and then just see what we've got when it comes to sort of alignment, basically. And if it means we have to change the bottom section, I'll do that afterwards. But I think it's worth just changing. I think it's the leg, the top part. I think it's been hit and then just been bent. But you just never know. So yeah, let's crack on. Let's try that first. Yeah, got to take apart this one a little bit. So we take that top section off, and then we're just going to replace that part, and then we'll just see how it goes after that. I might take some measurements as well, just measure the distance between, if I can get a measurement from this. So, can I get a measurement? I'll get a rough measurement from the back of the disc to the bar. So that measurement there, see what that is. Compare it to this side as well, and see what that is as well, and then just do some measurements. But I think we'll just have to start stripping it back and getting that top part section off and see how we go. So yeah, let's carry on, guys. Let's do this. Right, guys, well, there we go. It is nice and straight again. I have been taking some measurements as well from both sides, just checking And it's exactly the same as the other side now, just by replacing that top strut and spring. I think it's the internal part, or it could have been just a little bit twisted or bented, but it made a difference. Do you know what I mean? To making that wheel offset. So now, nice and straight. So I didn't need none of that bottom end, which was kind of what I thought was going to happen, but you just never, you really never know when it comes to this until you start actually changing the parts over. It could have been the lower control arm. It could have been, I don't think it would have been this, because look how thick that is of a piece of metal. That to bend that, that would have had to have a big whack, and I don't think it did. So, I mean, the wing, the side didn't have a good whack. This probably did, but hitting the wheel, I'm not sure. But at least it lines up straight now. So, you know, we can put all that back together, put all that back on. Yeah, moving forward with this one. So, let's get set up. Let's get rid of all this rubbish. It's all scrap now, really. I'm not even going to try and keep that. Not even worth it. Just get rid of it, scrap it, and then we can just move on. So, yeah, I'll set you up on a tripod. Let's crack on, guys. Let's start putting this all back together. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys. So, you just see me there. It does take time lining all this up, but it is really getting there now. There's a couple of still things I've got to mess around with and adjust and like this corner here. I've still got to mess around with this little bit here. Basically, there's a bracket there, and that bracket was twisted a little bit, so I've got to sort of bring it up a little bit and then push it in a little bit, push it out a little bit. So I've got to mess around with this corner to get that bonnet. Plus I've got to do these bolts. I've got to pull that out a little bit and do that up. But the position of the headlights and the gaps here, honestly, are just absolutely bang on. Spot on, same. So I'm really happy with that, actually. Really happy with that. That gap there is absolutely wicked, spot on. So, but it just takes time. Takes time messing around with it, fiddling around. I knew this was going to take most of the time because this was the impact side, wasn't it? It had a hit here. So all that had to be realigned and straightened back up and put back in place. Do you know what I mean? So That gap as well had to be lined up as well to make sure that it was all good, and it is. I'm just checking. So I've just been spending a lot of time messing around. So not quite there. Still got to do the lock as well on the centre here. So we've got to do that lock, get that positioned, that back in place as well. I just removed it just because I wanted to get the bonnet in the right position first, because obviously that lock was just getting in my way, lining it up. So I thought, let's just line up the two sides first. Let's get that in the correct position, and then I can move that lock to match where it latches, you know. But yeah, getting there slowly. This headlight has definitely got to have a some sort of rubbing down, refurbing work going on, because this one is a lot better. You can see it there. So you can see how nice that is really compared to this one. So that really does need a good rub down, but that's, you know, that's nothing really. We can do that afterwards. We can do it at the end. Let's just get it all lined up first and put back on, and then see how we go. But yeah, it just takes time, doesn't it? It just really does take time. So let's get set back up. Let's carry on. Let's just see how far we get today. But so far, I'm really happy. Let's do this. Right, okay, guys, I can't go any further with this car, and that's because that hinge just will not line up. It's just bent up. It is. So yeah, it's annoying. It is annoying, but I've had this before when we're fixing front end cars. And this definitely is a little bit of a rabbit hole. As soon as you start trying to bend that, move it around, twist it back into position, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it's just a massive rabbit hole that you just won't get out of. So, yeah, it just, you know, it is what it is. I didn't know that until I started putting it back together, which we're doing now. So that's going to hold it up now, but definitely got to be changed. And I've checked on eBay, they're like £25, £30 for both sides. They're not a lot of money. It's definitely worth waiting now to get that hinge in, you know, the correct position, the correct angle. It's just, yeah, it's just crazy. I don't think this side's going to be an issue. And this side's absolutely spot on. It's all flush. It's in the correct position. It goes well with the headlight. You know, this side is really good. It's just that side I need. So yeah, I'm going to go off and order one, and then when it turns up, we're going to swap that over, get the bumper on as well. So I've got another bumper for this, not a new one, but it's got a couple of marks on it. But I think it's definitely worth sticking on. So we'll see how that goes. But we've done the straighten up the leg now, so we've got wheels that are sitting straight. We're moving forward with this one, but it's just stumped me a little bit when it comes to this. I'm never going to get that right. I've tried to move it around, push it around. It's just not going to go right. So yeah, that has got to be changed. There's no, because I thought, looking at this, there's quite a big gap there, and I thought, you know what? I'll have a look at the hinges, just drop it down. But you cannot drop it down Literally, the bottom of the hinge, I don't know if I can show you that in there, but the bottom of the hinge is sitting, it is actually sitting on that inner wing. So there's no adjustment to go down. So something's tweaked or moved, or, you know, it's just not in the correct right position. So, yeah. But unfortunately, yeah, we'll have to leave it there. And we'll come back to this as soon as we've got that hinge. But, yeah, guys, you know, that's going to be the end of today's video. Don't forget, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. How's it going? Give the video a thumbs up, guys. Really support, and I appreciate all the support. And, yeah, we will get this finished in the next video. Hopefully, we can get it MOT'd as well. You never know. But let me get that hinge ordered, and then we'll go from there. So, yeah. But I'm happy. I am happy the way it's going. You know, he's done quite a lot of this. He's moved a lot of that around. He reinstalled the rad pack, got all those pipes, got all the wires. He's done quite a lot on this job, this car for me. But, you know, we're just finishing off the other end. He would have called me and said, listen, Mark, we need to get another hinge for this because that ain't lining up. He would have done the same thing. So, yeah, it is what it is. So, there we go. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.